Here with Harding coach Ronnie Huckabee. Coach Huck, 27-0 win tonight over Lambuth, and the defense, you got to start there. The first back-to-back shutout since 1965.
Pretty awesome. Love the way those guys played, and this football team had some weapons, and this is a football team that beat West Alabama in their home opener. It's a football team that went into the Georgia Dome and beat Georgia State. Our defense just completely throttled them. I mean, I don't ever remember a defensive performance that impressive. 4 first downs, 17 total yards, 10 sacks. What else can you say? They did a great job.
It looked like you put a lot of pressure on the quarterback early, brought some linebackers sometimes. Was that part of the plan?
It was. We felt like, they did have some talented receivers, and we did not want to give the quarterback time to sit back there in the pocket and look for those guys to get open. And so part of our plan was to pressure them, and we did a great job of it.
On offense, you had 4 drives of 10 plays or longer. That's what you're looking for out of this offense, isn't it?
Exactly. This was exactly the kind of game we want to play. We do a great job. Now, we'd like to have gotten the ball thrown down the field some more, and we felt like we left some things out there. But when we started the game, I don't know how hard the wind was gusting, but pretty much took the passing game out of play, and we kept the ball. We in the second half, I think we had 11 in one quarter and 10 in the other.
Right.
So we completely dominated the time of possession, especially in the second half, and we were very efficient on offense, and got the game done in 2 hours and 14 minutes, and 27-0. Couldn't ask for much more.
The way that the time of possession is so slanted like that, would you say that's exactly kind of what you envisioned when you made the change to the multiple option offense?
Exactly. That's what we're looking for. We want to keep them from getting the football, and be real aggressive on defense when we're out there, get the ball back, and just keep it away from them.
You talked about last week the defense finishing. That was going to be all's kind of focus this week. Like, can you talk just about how big that was for the defense to go out there and get a shutout?
It was huge, and we didn't just talk about the defense finishing. We talked about the team finishing, because obviously those 2 previous losses, we turned the ball over late in the ball game and really put our defense in a bad position. And so that's another real big positive that comes out of this football game is 0 turnovers. We were very efficient again in the passing game. I think 8 out of 11, even though we didn't set the world on fire in yardage, we did do a great job with our completion percentage, and we threw the ball effectively when we needed to, and so very pleased.
How big was it just to get that win, before you head back into conference play next week with West Alabama?
It was huge. We needed a win bad. After the last 2 weeks of feeling like we had the games under control and not being able to finish, to come out and have this kind of a dominant performance is exactly what we wanted to do. And it's a credit to our coaches and to our players for the way they responded this past week in practice. Could not be prouder of them. They went right back to work, and now we got a huge challenge ahead of us next week against West Al, and really looking forward to that.
Just with the way the defense has played, at home, pitching 2 shutouts like that so far in 2 home games, how much, I guess, of a comfort is that, knowing, that next week you have your conference game at home next week?
We love playing at home, and we are very fortunate that we have a lot of our remaining games at home, and so we're excited to be at home and excited to be playing West Alabama next week.
Here with Harding offensive lineman Garrett Taylor, and a great job by the offense again tonight, over 300 yards of total offense. No really big stars tonight, and so the offensive line just did a great job of taking control of the game when we had the ball. Talk about what you guys try to do in those situations.
Basically, the play, what we tell ourselves is the play starts and ends with us. If we don't do our job and we're not able to get movement off the line, then the rest of the offense and the rest of the play is going to crumble. So we've been working real hard lately, all season really, on staying low and really driving the heavy bags and the low sled, and really working on our pad level and making sure, just working on the details, making sure our steps are right, and making sure that, what we do is done, to perfection. Because a lot of times, we understand that we don't get a lot of, we don't get to touch the ball. We don't get to score touchdowns. We don't get, a lot of the spotlight. But we know that, what we do is, as important to the offense as, a lot of, every other position. So.
Lambuth had some huge defensive linemen. And, you guys are probably outweighed on the offensive line, 30, 40 pounds at least by each guy. In this offense, what's our goal, and how do you neutralize those 300-pounders on the defensive line?
Well, yeah, we knew coming into this week, we knew that their strength on defense was their interior D linemen, and they really felt that that was where their strength was. So us being undersized is actually the way we're supposed to be, as opposed to the years past. The way we're able to try to neutralize that is we use a lot more angle block, and we use a lot of pad level. And just explosiveness, we work more explosive than we do, passive. And, we just really try to fire off and get the initial punch. And a lot of confusion, too. They're not sure where we're going to go. And one thing that's very beneficial for us is the cut block. That's a defensive lineman. He probably hates that more than anything. And so the threat of having a cut coming, somebody hitting your knees is going to slow them down. And so we're just able to use our speed. Because we're smaller, we're able to use our speed to get where we're supposed to be. And it doesn't take much. You just have to pretty much, get on to somebody for a little bit, and then the back is normally gone. So that's how we try to neutralize it.
In games like this, where the time of possession is so slanted in y'all's direction, how much easier does that make y'all's job? Just knowing that their defense has been on the field the majority of the game, kind of tired.
It helps us a ton, knowing that we, can have a 6.5 minute or 7 minute drive and just physically wear their guys out. It's really uplifting to us, because it helps us know that we're just physically beating them, and meanwhile our defense is on the sideline getting rested up. So whether we score or whether we have to punt the ball, it's huge for us just to be able to control the game, control the clock. So.
Can you sense when a defense is frustrated and ready to get off the field?
Oh yeah, you can tell because they start, they obviously show it physically, and then mentally, they start to break down and they start to slip up, which makes our job a lot easier, because we're able to, keep doing what we're doing because we're at a pace that we're used to, but they've been on the field for sometimes 15 or more plays, so it really wears them down, and we're able to tell that.
Does that make it a lot more fun for you guys, just the offensive linemen knowing that?
It makes it a lot more fun. Because if it's like it is with anything. If you know the guy across from you is tired and you're about to wear him out, you're going to give 100% because you got the advantage. So that's all the more reason to really light into it.
Here with Jason Thomas and Jason, the Bisons, with their second straight home shutout tonight. Going into the game, I guess that's always a goal, is to shut out the other team. But this is a pretty impressive Lambuth offense.
Yes, sir. Going in, we knew that they were going to try to run the ball real hard. They got a real big offensive line, real athletic backs. The whole emphasis this week was being tough up front, a lot of pursuit, just get as many people to the ball as possible.
They only had 4 first downs in the game. We put big pressure on the quarterback. I know you blitzed from your linebacker spot several times, especially early on, to get to the quarterback. Was that a focus for the defense this week?
Yes, sir. We felt like that we would be able to get a lot of pressure on them. Their quarterback's really good, but he tends to get a little happy feet when we got the pressure on him. So we thought the linebackers, what we saw on film, blitzing the linebackers would be real good, and we have a lot of success, as you saw tonight.
Bisons only gave up 17 total yards. It looked like tonight was one of our best tackling efforts. They didn't break a lot of tackles. Talk about that as a focus of the defense.
Yes, sir. Every week we go through tackling circuits. On Tuesdays, that's a real physical day, full pads, and our main focus all year has been 11 to the ball, and we feel like if we're full speed, going as hard, the mentality we have is he's not going to make the tackle. I have to get there and make the tackle. So that's been our mentality all year, and I feel like this week we really showed up and had a pretty good game.